All right, happening now. This is a live look at oil prices. West Texas crude now nearly $113 a barrel. I believe for West Texas, that is a high since the war with Iran began, and it's up nearly 13%. That's overnight. That's just since the president delivered his speech on Iran. With us now is Congressman Marlin Stutzman, a Republican from Indiana. Congressman, thanks so much for being with us. You know numbers better than I do. You're on finance and budget here. What do you think the oil market saw? What did investors see in this speech that has them so concerned and had prices go up more than 10% overnight?
Yeah, John, great to be with you this morning. Honestly, I don't know, because I felt that the speech gave a roadmap to what the president's thinking, and that this is this is moving very quickly. The success that we're having in knocking out the Iranian regime's ability to fight back or to go on offense has really been limited. And so, I don't know exactly what they're seeing this morning that makes them feel that way. I guess once the Straits of Hormuz is more secure and is flowing more freely, that might be a piece of it. There's actually a lot of good news in the oil space. There's leases up in Alaska that have been just let out that really should be starting to affect the oil markets, and realizing that the supply is going to be there. And of course, with Venezuela in play as well. So I don't know, markets are sometimes funny things. We'll see what happens even by this afternoon. But I think in the long run here, we should start seeing prices going back down.
You talked about opening the Strait of Hormuz. What he said last night was the strait will open naturally, he said. Did you hear a different plan for opening the strait?
Well, again, President Trump is a great negotiator, and what he says in public is always what happens in the long run, because he's trying to bring people to the table. And also, especially with the Western European countries that have been just flat-footed through all of this, that they need to start being a part of the process as well. So I think that's what he means by that is that the markets are going to start demanding the oil to flow back through the Straits of Hormuz. And as Iran is put back in their place, and the ability for ships to move through there, I think that's what he's referring to.
I follow you on social media. Great tweeter. Thank you for the work that you do there. You wrote yesterday, stopping the war with Iran right now would only result in them rebuilding their terrorist government and continuing to be a nuclear threat. President Trump is determined to keep our country and the world safe. On the nuclear threat, all kinds of watchdogs say Iran's got about 400 kilograms of enriched uranium, nuclear material buried in Isfahan. It's still there. It was there before the war began. It's there now. And last night, the president said, I think the plan is to watch it by satellite. Do you think that is satisfactory? Does that satisfy you? If the United States ends this war and there's still 400 kilograms of enriched nuclear material in Isfahan, is that a win?
Not as long as this regime is still in power. I mean, we should never trust this regime. This has been going on for 40 years. And if the IRGC and the Ayatollah are still in power in Iran, it will always be a problem, because these guys are true believers that if you don't agree with them and their religious beliefs, that they are going to either eliminate the person, or they're going to get a nuclear bomb in order to leverage the rest of the world. And so I think that there has to be a regime change here. I am not afraid to say it, because we know that this regime has been yes.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but you said there has to be a regime change. Does that mean you don't think there has been? Because the president said last night there was regime change.
Well, and again, I mean, the president knows a lot more than I do, and who he's talking to and how he is negotiating with the people in Iran. So if he is comfortable with a new person that's taking power, then that is a new leadership in Iran. And I think that's what's important. We can't let the old guys stay in power. We have to let the Iranian people have their country back. It also creates an ally in the Middle East. It brings stability to the Middle East. Watching the Gulf states stepping up through this conflict is really remarkable. This wouldn't have happened 10 years ago. And to have Qatar and Saudi Arabia, Israel, all working for the same goal here to take off the head of the snake is truly remarkable. And I think that's what I mean when I say there's got to be somebody new.
Congressman, very quickly, CNN and others reporting last night the president is having discussions out loud about the possibility of replacing Attorney General Pam Bondi. One quote from the article: frustrated by the backlash and anger in the base over the administration handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files, Trump has asked people about replacing Bondi. He's also fumed she hasn't investigated enough of his political opponents. One possible replacement would be Lee Zeldin, former New York congressman, EPA administrator. What do you think of Pam Bondi? Should she continue as Attorney General?
Well, again, I'll let President Trump make that final decision. But I know I do hear some frustration on Capitol Hill from other members that things aren't moving the way that they should be, at least getting answers out and understanding what the process is. And I get you can't just, of course, lay out a complete game plan to the general public or even to members of Congress, which we know that secrets are harder to keep in Congress than anywhere else. But, there has to be a movement here. And I know that there is frustration, and I'd like to see some action taking place. It feels like a lot of things are bottled up over the Department of Justice. If she can show otherwise, that she deserves to keep the job, I'm sure President Trump is going to make that decision, and we're willing to listen and watch. Ultimately, it's the president's decision.
All right, Congressman Marlin Stutzman of Indiana, we do appreciate your time this morning. Thank you so much for being with us. Great to see you. Sarah?